All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the STR Sovereignty Podcast. My name is Steve Haase. I'm thrilled to be joined by the CEO of Yada, Peter Ojdrovich, and we have a special guest today, Brett Johnson, owner and manager of Henry House. Welcome, Brett.
Great to be here with you two gentlemen.
Thank you so much for organizing this, Steve, and thank you so much, Brett, for being here.
I'm psyched to have Brett on the show because he lives an hour away from me here in Southern Ontario. And when I go for my, longer bike rides, I bike right to his front door of his STR. So that is pretty cool. I did not know that until he signed up with Yada, but after he did, I'm like, wait a second, we're neighbors.
Yeah, that was a nice bonus. So you can share my pain when I talk to you about how much shoveling I've been doing lately with the unbelievable amount of snow that we've both been receiving.
My back is destroyed, just to say.
You guys not heard about snowblowers or?
It's a matter of pride. You don't snowblow less than, 3, 4, 5. And eventually you're like, at what point do I snowblow? It's kind of once your back is done, then you snowblow.
I believe it'll be an Olympic sport soon, and I might have a chance to qualify for the Team Canada.
Well, it's getting there. I mean, they have Olympic sports for, I don't know if it's Olympics, but they have competitions for like wood cutting. And I've seen those on YouTube all the time, like wood cutting competitions, chainsawing competitions. Like snowblowing is the next big thing.
It's in there.
Or snow shoveling, I should say.
Yeah, we need to bring it.
Although there was this one time, when I lived in Cambridge, there's two types of snowblowers. Like there's the ones with the blades, and they don't really work on powder. And then I found randomly this one on Facebook Marketplace. It was like a commercial snowblower that had brushes in it that worked really good for light powder. So maybe look into something like that. If it's for light dustings, just do the brush-based snowblower and then go to the blade-based one when it gets pretty heavy.
Well, the next wave is robot snowblowers that you just sort of program, and then they do all the work.
Although, do we trust those or not? That is the question. My robot lawnmower butchered it. So
yeah, you wouldn't want to let your dog out at the same time.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Oh, what a brave world we live in these days.
Robot vacuums, though, are working pretty good.
I mean, do they though? Like, there's always piles of stuff in the corners. They're always bumping around the chairs.
I guess. Although I got a new one recently that has been pretty impressive. Like that one, I've been like it does the mopping and the vacuuming at once, and it's actually a really interesting case study. Like iRobot didn't innovate for like a decade; they kept on doing the same robots for 10 years, and there's a couple of new companies out of China that are just blitzed everything that we were doing with robot vacuums, and those are actually really smart. Like they use cameras, they use a bunch of really cool sensors to figure out like, okay, if it's a chair, like how do you work around a chair, and like they have these little arms that like spread out to like go under chairs and things like that. So it's
are the STR cleaning crews in trouble? Like, is this the next wave of automation?
I guess time will tell.
Time will tell.
Time will tell. So, Brett, we are here to talk about short-term rental marketing.
Yes.
And one of the reasons we wanted to have you on is not just because we can commiserate on the travails of shoveling snow in Canada this winter, but because you do an amazing job marketing your short-term rental at henryhousestays.com. And you're doing some really cool campaigns, particularly around event-driven activity, event-driven outreach. Give us an overview of what is Henry House, how do you think about marketing, and then let's go into the details of this next campaign that you're building and why you're doing it.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It's been fun working with the two of you in the last handful of months to kind of up my game. I take marketing very seriously. My wife and I purchased this property during the middle of COVID, moved from Toronto to Stratford, and I just started listening to all the podcasts, trying to absorb everything. And my wife was joking that I'm trying to get my master's degree in short-term rental, and if there was a certificate, I think I could be a candidate for such. And listen to all the people who seem to be smart in this area. And just, the overall theme is I need to be in charge of my guest acquisition. I can't outsource that to Airbnb or Vrbo, which can be kind of attractive. You can just sort of set it and forget it and let Airbnb send you people. But I really wanted to be kind of more of legitimately running a business where I own the customer base. And so started to do the things that you need to do to kind of play that game. And so, you know, from 2022, 3 and 4, so I've just kind of finished my 5th year doing this, and every year I try new things. The percentage of revenue from direct bookings keeps going up. It's now at about 70%. And you know, it started at 0 essentially. Yeah, I find it's really important, and it gives me so much more calm feeling in the last year or so when news of Airbnb doing this, that, and the other thing to kind of, you know, annoy hosts. You know, I would look at like right now, I think I have, on average, each of my 2 suites has about 400 guests per year. No, I think maybe it's 200. I think it's 400 total. And so right now I have 3 guests in Airbnb, you know, in the pipeline, and everybody else, you know, moving forward is from other channels. So it really feels good not to be kind of whipped around by, you know, the things that are happening on the OTAs.
Absolutely.
Which is why we call our show the STR Sovereignty Podcast, right? It's most people who get into this business aren't doing it to, you know, create the next Fortune 500 company. They're doing it for their own freedom and satisfaction, right? You don't buy a place in Stratford, move out from Toronto because you're trying to make, you know, yourselves billionaires. You're doing it because, like, you love hospitality, you love working with people, and you just want to have a business that works for you. And so I love the way you speak to owning your destiny with that, and not just leaving it up to the marketplaces.
And yeah, both my wife and I don't have pensions. We've kind of worked for ourselves most of our lives, and so essentially this house delivers, you know, free room and board for my wife to live, and it's essentially, you know, the salary of a teacher that is coming our way every year. So it allows us to almost feel like we're, you know, have hit that freedom button to a certain degree in terms of, you know, our cash flow for the future.
That's beautiful.
Incredible.
So let's talk about marketing then, because obviously you realized if we're going to take control of this and have our own sovereignty in this setup, we need to do some marketing. Tell us about the evolution of your marketing to date, and then we're going to touch on the campaign that you're running now.
Yeah, I first of all launched a website right out of the gate, and then I moved to a property management system that allowed me to take direct bookings. And then soon on in, I started to embrace using texting to connect with my clients. And so, you know, as soon as they would land, wherever they came from, you would always get their phone number. So I would copy and paste that into my personal cell phone, and I would introduce myself, and I would copy it from like Apple Notes and blah, blah, and it was painful, but it started to work. And that's where people soon wanted to connect on text versus the platforms. Booking.com has a pretty horrendous app that almost nobody uses. So when I would get a guest from there, I could pretty much assume they weren't getting any of my messages. So this was a new way to talk to them. And then another big sort of leap forward was when I came across a company that's now become Quo, and you can use a phone number. It's a legitimate phone number, and by an app on your phone or an app on your computer, you can now, you know, Eastwind essentially kind of automated that approach. I was thinking if I could even give that app to a virtual assistant, and they could do the texting part with clients. But that was a big move forward for me to be able to text sort of in a more mass way. And that's how I got in contact with you guys, because as you know, Yada coordinated with Quo to now be able to allow me to send out texts based on guest information. So it could be everybody who came in the month of August over the last 5 years. I could send them a very specific note that this coming August in Stratford, these things are happening. And so really being able to create the sense with my past guests that, you know, Brett cares about me, he remembers me, he's sending me something about that's relevant to me. It was really an important piece that Yada has brought to the table. And so you guys are just one of the more forward platforms that I've investigated and jumped in with.
Peter, what as the mastermind behind being the forward platform that forward-thinking hosts can jump in with, how does that feel to hear?
I mean, it feels great to hear, obviously. Like STRs, it's one of those industries where I think like the importance of owning owning your own revenue streams is not as like widely adopted as it is perhaps in some other verticals. So as I was hearing, Brad, as I was hearing you talk about your process of spinning up your rentals during COVID, starting to text your guests manually and reaching out to them personally and like doing all these very common sense things just strikes me as like how effective it is just to do very, very common sense things when it comes to building relationships with people that use your service and that stay with you and that spend money with you. And how I kind of wish that was more mainstream of just, instead of looking for hacks all over the place to try to, climb in Airbnb rankings or, change a picture every 2 days to try to climb like 2 spots in some sort of marketplace rankings, like these very common sense activities of just, do good hospitality and be a good hospitality provider are often like the most effective and like the most high leverage things that you could possibly do to drive those direct bookings and drive those direct relationships.
Yeah, one of the other things that I've tried to do with it when I get a significant booking, like something that's 4 days, 5 days plus, pull out my phone, make a video welcoming them by name, mentioning what suite they're going to be in and the upcoming date, and just say, I'm really thrilled that you've chosen to come our way and you're in good hands, and then that can get text to them, and so they can read that or watch that, and because you really want to treasure those big ones and be appreciative, because until they actually show up, or I guess in my case a 7-day cancellation, like it's all cancelable, so you want to kind of seal that as much as you can. So I think texting has been really underused by most short-term rental hosts that I've ever talked to. When I share that with them, they're like, well, how do you do that? And it's they're almost it's just never really thought that they would use that very, very impressive tool.
But it's really common sense. I mean, I keep on we recently onboarded this company called Gusto to handle payroll for us, and they are a massive company, and we don't even pay them that much. We only there's only a couple folks on our team that we have on that platform, and they've called me probably 5 or 6 times to make sure that everything is done well with my setup. Like, this is a company that has no vested interest. Like, we pay them like $45 or $50 a month. Like, it's really not that much. That's
wow.
Like an hour and a half to 2 hours on the phone with me and texting me to make sure that everything is set up correctly. And I know for a fact that we're never going to not use them. Like, I can't really see a world in which we don't use this company to handle our payroll and to handle our taxes. Like, it's very boring stuff. Like, it's like, payroll and tax compliance, but somehow they made it fun, and somehow they made it easy to use, and just pleasurable to do something that is just fundamentally unpleasant.
And here you are talking about it, right? You're going to mention it with other business leaders, right? So
exactly,
I think they're savvy to do what they're doing.
Well, I think that's all kinds of free marketing, all kinds of free publicity and marketing. Was it distribution?
Yeah. But I think that's something that you landed on very organically, like in the start of your journey, was just understanding the value of actually giving a crap about the people that are, spending money with you and spending time with you.
I do have the advantage of a place like Stratford where a lot of people do come back every single year. I know some short-term rental people have a fairly, average looking place where people are just passing through. But so to capitalize for me, it was to, really treat my past guests as a venue to get referrals. The biggest number I'd heard was one person says, I've come to Stratford for 35 years in a row. I even came during COVID just so I could keep my record going, right? So these are not young people, but they've come to the Henry House now and have been coming, for the last 3 years because it's, their favorite new place. So with that particular nuance, I have, really solid bookings through the 7 the 5 months of the open season, I get 80% of my revenue. And then the other 7 months I get 20. And so I was recently trying to think like, well, where am I going to put my energy? Do I put my energy to try to take the 80 and move it up by, can I get another 10% bump there? Or do I take my 20 and can I double that? Right.
Yeah.
And so my goal has been to try to really focus on that off season where people still come and there's, as a city, Stratford's becoming focused on that as well. They want people to come in the winter. So, with Yada, you can do all kinds of things to, we sent out a message recently to only the people who've come in the winter to talk about, what's happening here in the winter. And I've gotten some really good bookings from them. So, it's you have to kind of think through, the different seasons and try to pull the levers that will fill your bank account, with the least amount of effort. And so, I've been doing my best to find platforms that help that out.
Honestly, that was the thing that sparked my interest in having this conversation with you for everybody is you emailed me and said, Steve, I've been thinking about what it is I can send people that will entice them to come in March. Like, March in Southern Ontario is not, you don't want to be traveling here. If you're going to go anywhere, you go to see Peter down in Miami.
Yes.
You don't go to Stratford. But Brett's like, no, people are going to come to Stratford. I'm like, Brett, how the heck are you going to get people to come to Stratford in March? You're like, just you wait, Steve, just you wait. And so you send me this email about the Nashville takeover. So folks, if you're already in Nashville, hey, congrats to you, but we're not all there in Music City. So sometimes Music City comes to us. And in this case, Nashville is doing a thing, the Nashville takeover. And Brett, you didn't just say, oh, this is cool, let me send an email to my past guests. You created a whole campaign around it. And I am absolutely blown away by it. We're going to share it here for folks to check out if you're watching the video. But Brett, why don't you walk us through what gave you this inspiration and what exactly it is?
So the Nashville takeover is a new thing here in Ontario. They've picked 13 cities where they come for 2 days, 3 days, and they have surprise guests. There's no big names. There's no Taylor Swift landing in, but it's really for people who like that intimate connection. So like all the top restaurants in Stratford are on board with this. So you buy a ticket for let's say the Saturday, and from something like noon on to the wee hours of the night, you can go and hang out at any of these restaurants, and you've got a little wristband. So it's kind of like a festival at multi venues. So pretty cool, but it's brand new. And from a marketing standpoint, I have 2 suites. I have that 2 nights. So maybe there's $1,000 worth of revenue I could get if I promoted this, and I would be soon full, and that would be that. And so I was trying to think of how do I leverage this for a much bigger game than just having, what might amount to 4 couples having a great time in the Nashville takeover. So the thought process came along, which is like, why don't you keep it private, make it a VIP past guest only sweepstakes, if you will. Include a photo session. We've got a photographer that's associated with Henry House, and people like pictures, but they don't usually know how to do it properly and get their hair fixed and the lighting proper and all of that. And so we've worked with Yada to send out emails and texts to just the past guests. And then the next thing that kind of came to mind is, well, let's turn this into a referral machine. Wouldn't it be even better if you won it as a past guest and you brought your best friends along, because we do have the 2 suites. So really encouraging people to, when they fill in the entry form as a past guest, like, tell me who you're going to invite. And then when they fill in their entry form, that'll definitely influence my desire to who am I going to pick. So I'm hoping that I'll get lots and lots of new people who are referrals that will enter. I'll get their first name, last name, phone number, email, all that good stuff. And they'll have heard, their friends say great things about the Henry House and about Stratford. And even if they aren't picked to win, and lots of them won't win because there's only 4, but it just kind of feeds that momentum of getting new names. And from a branding standpoint, and we should chat about branding at some point too, just, well, how does Henry House stand from, apart from, when they go on Airbnb, there's lots of 4K TV, king bed downtown.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to stay there, right?
Yeah.
So, I think that's a big part of what people have been missing.
For sure. I was actually just thinking about what you were saying there, like that network effect seems like it could be such a powerful growth lever, like not just marketing to past guests, but activating them to become ambassadors in a way and to spread the word to their friends and to their networks and the people that they know. Like
Right.
make it as easy as possible and as incentive driven as possible for everyone that stayed to share about where they stayed, why they stayed, and get them talking to their friends and to their network about you guys and about your brand.
And people like to talk about their trips. And most people don't want to hear about somebody else's trip, right?
Yeah.
Well, my wife and I recently went to the Caribbean, and we took a ton of pictures, and we have 3 children in their late 20s, early 30s. And so we had them on a Zoom call, and they're like, "Oh, Dad, you're not going to show us all these pictures." I go, "I only have 20 slides, max 2 pictures per slide. We'll be done in 8 minutes, and then we can get on to talk about what's really important." And they had fun watching us on our, stand-up paddle boards, and turtles, and we were under snorkeling and all that. But the point is, people do come to Henry House, they have a great experience, and then they go back, and it kind of goes to the back of their mind, and they might talk about a play they saw here, but this will give them a chance to hey, who would we want to go, and maybe we could win that with Sally and Bill. They're a ton of fun. They'd love to come, right? Let's get them to enter, and we'll enter. And I'll even call Brett and tell him that he has to pick us because of whatever, right? Let them. So the conversation isn't, well, we stayed at this place, 8 months ago or 18 months ago. There's a real hook to it, right? So just allowing people to kind of be a hero to their friends, right? I want to invite you into this new potential. It's just kind of a fun thing to talk about. And hey, we could go listen to all these cool musicians.
What strikes me about the campaign is you framed it. It's not just about you making the money for that weekend, because that's first level thinking, right? First order thinking is, hey, I got to make money to fill that weekend because that's a cool event. Second order thinking is, how do I spend some money? Because it's going to be an investment on your side. You're foregoing the revenues for the contest winners. You're going to spend the money on the passes and on the photographer. There's going to be some outlay on your side. But that's literally how businesses think about marketing. If you're a real business, you're going to say, I'm going to spend some money on marketing and I want a 10x return on that spend. But most STRs, they think about that, but only they limit it to amenities in their Airbnb listing. Yeah. You're going straight to real branding, real marketing, thinking like a real business.
Yep. Yeah. It's, part of it comes from, I've been doing marketing for most of my career. It tended to be in the business to business industrial technology space, but the principles are still the same. You're gaining awareness, and Airbnb's been this sort of machine that, and I was really thankful for the first 3 or 4 months. I was able to throw up Henry House. I didn't even have a website, and I got bookings within days, and my bank account started going in the right direction. So God love them. But you got to. I felt the need to move forward past that, right? That's just sort of like kindergarten, grade 1, but you want to be able to ride a bike without training wheels, right?
Right. And I think there's nothing wrong with marketplaces. There's nothing inherently wrong with being on marketplaces, but if you have the opportunity to take it into your own hands and build something with it that's your own, I think that's far superior than just relying on a marketplace like Airbnb. So that's not to say that it's that it's inherently bad that something like that exists, but it's just, very, very restrictive and very, very obviously against folks truly owning their brand and their customers. But I just want to get back to one thing. It's super commendable to me, just the drive to do genuine marketing, because for so many people in the SDR space, it starts and ends with the photos that you put on your Airbnb listing, and then trying to just maximize stay value with stupid upsells, early check-in and late checkout for $50 or $70 or whatever. And it's a lot of these things that almost make it seem like it's a low-cost area, Spirit or Frontier or something like that. And of course there's some degree of value to that. You can increase the value of an average stay by $50 or $70 by charging for an early check-in or late checkout or whatever. But you also burn a lot of, I think you burn a lot of brand capital by like mostly being associated with cheap upsells as opposed to like genuine brand building and relationship building. And I think that's what separates you from a lot of other folks is, you know, again, having that background in multiple decades of marketing and multiple decades of relationship building and company building, and like really understanding that it's not about, you know, quick gains on like a singular stay, but rather on, you know, building a flywheel and building a like an engine that can do it year in and year out, and like every season, every cycle, every rotation, like have more and more people coming back, more and more people talking to their friends about why they should stay. And I think that's really, really cool stuff.
Yeah, Peter, I heard you mention that in a previous episode of STR Sovereignty, and it got me thinking back to, there was a window when I contemplated this idea of, you know, can I get an extra $50 by letting them check in 2 hours early? And I talked to my cleaning staff about it. Right now, my window is, you know, check out at, I have a 4 hour gap. And so could I sell one of, you know, 2 of those hours or even 1 of those hours to make some money? And the logistics of my staff, you know, it's a third party company that does the cleaning.
Yeah.
I've had only one company they've done, I think I did the math, it's like knocking on 1,500 turnovers, and never had to deal with anybody else. So like, you're more important to me than, you know, some kind of coordinating to put a few dollars. And I was even going to share it with them, like, well, here, you guys can have half the money for the early check-ins. But what I've ended up doing is not talking about early or late anything ever, and then waiting for the client to suggest it. And when they suggest it, I go, you know what, we'd love to accommodate you. It's possible that, and I'll say, you know, sometimes my cleaning staff wrap up at around 1:30. So I give them the time of a possible early, and most of the time I can accommodate. And I would say it's only 1 in 20, 1 in 30 guests even ask. And so it works out fine, and they feel loved, and they give me good reviews. And it's not about trying to nickel and dime and coordinate. And so I'm in sync with you on that. I'm glad I sort of set that whole idea aside.
I think at some point it'll be fascinating to do the math on, I mean, let's say somebody demands, or like somebody charges a guest like $40 or $50 for an early check-in or a late checkout. You know, what's the probability of that person then going and talking about a brand to their friends and potentially having this knock-on effect of having 2 or 3 or 4 stays come as a result of that original stay versus like, you know, if you do build a reputation of nickel and diming, like that probability that they're going to have that sort of brand equity, you know, a week from now or 6 months from now or a year from now could be very, very much compromised by trying to grow that way versus what I think is the much more intelligent way, which is to grow the brand and grow the relationships and, you know, again, give a good reason for people to come back.
I also was noticing that the cars parked in my driveway were cars that I can't afford. Like, these are people with, you know, every once in a while I've had to go in to help them with something and even their luggage. I mean, man, this is high-end leather luggage. Whoa, you know, so, you know, when you realize who's coming, and some of them have come for like 8 days and they see every show. And I did the quick math, like, wow, they're spending 15 grand on food, lodging, and tickets to these shows. And so to bug them about something like $20 for this or $30 for that, that's just not their game, right? And so that was another part of my thinking to and on that note, another thing I'd like to share with you guys is pricing. Pricing has so much to do with the comfort level of the host. You know, when I first got started, I was like, well, what do I charge? I have no idea. I've never done this before. So you'll go on Airbnb, you look at everybody else's numbers, you know, I think I'm a little better than that guy. Well, I'm not as nice as that guy, so I'm going to pick it in the middle. And so I think my early numbers were around 170.
Yeah. And
then a few months into that, I got onto, you know, Price Labs. So then there's a ceiling and a floor, right? So, you know, my ceiling, you know, 170 was kind of in the middle, and you had maybe $100 above and $50 below was your ceiling and your floor. And then the next year I go, well, what if I raised it by $100? Can I go to 270? Like, wow, that's a lot of money. So my next year, 270 was my base. Then I go, think I can move it up another $100? to 370. And what it was like, would I be embarrassed to tell someone that I'm charging $370? Like, I wouldn't stay at a place like that if I was on a trip. And I'm like, well, let's give it a go, right? And now I moved up to 470, and the place keeps filling up. And so, like, that's where you make your money, not on, like you say, a $20 this or that.
Yeah. Well, and the thing that's going to have people saying yes to 470 is the experience of the brand, right? You don't say yes to something that's 470 if you have something that's exactly equal for 170. You say yes to 470 if you know you're getting extra goodies. And that extra goodies could be as simple as, we're Henry House. This is a special place. This is a special accommodation. You've got a story here. You've got a relationship here. And so you mentioned your brand. Part of that is in the work that you do around marketing. Part of that is in the pricing. Like, if you put a premium price on something and you have a commensurate offering, right? You can't just charge premium and give them something garbage. Sure. But you're not locked into what the market says you have to do, if you can break out from a brand perspective. So there's a lot of benefit in building that brand, not just in hopes that people will come back, but also in saying, hey, this is a story you can tell. This is a premium offering worth premium dollars.
Yeah. And so it really does come down to kind of what I'm comfortable with. And booking.com has a very specific rating where, did you get value for your stay? And I maybe get 15% of my bookings come from there. And so, I was always happy when everybody was giving me, high star, high star, high star. And then I started, when I moved this price up, the odd person would say, no, I didn't get value. I wasn't, I spent a lot of money. Yeah. And so when I first had that happen, I'm like, oh man, then I realized, no, I need people to think that maybe 1 in 10 feels like it was too expensive, because if everyone thinks it was incredibly cheap for what I got, then I'm leaving money on the table, right? So then I started to look forward to people telling me it wasn't worth the price, at least every once in a while, because then I know I'm kind of at the top of the ceiling, not down at the floor.
Yeah, and you're in that sweet spot of where you need to be. I mean, probably say the same thing about people buying Range Rovers. Like 90% of the people that buy a Range Rover know that, like, it's not the best value purchase that they can make, but it's comfortable. Like, they like the brand of it. It's the product that they're proud to own and show off and drive around in. I'm guessing some of your guests probably arrive in Range Rovers and things like that. And like, right, 1 out of 5 people or 1 out of 10 people that buy one of those cars are going to be like, this is stupid. Like, I should have gotten a Nissan Armada or something like that. And that's fine. Like, right. That's why there's a different brand. Like, if you want to buy a Nissan Armada, go to a Nissan dealership and buy a Nissan. If you want to buy a Range Rover, go to a Range Rover dealership.
Yeah. And then, one of the other key things that I've tried to implement is, how can I use the billboard effect? I was starting to do it. I just didn't have that word before. One of the other players in this short-term rental has that. So can you have pictures and can you have text that when a person is looking at your listing on whatever platform, they kind of go, this is, so right now it says, Henry House, patio suite, sunroom by Henry House Stays. So I've started to use that word Henry House Stays often. So a person's reading my whether it's Vrbo or Booking or Airbnb, it's clearly by somebody, right? Well, who is that somebody? Go check it out. And then inside one of the lines I have in my listing is we offer savings codes, DM at, and then I put the Instagram account in, and that seems fine. I've had that there since forever. I get a decent number of people that will send me a DM. Now I've got a one-on-one connection with them that's off platform, and I'm free to then share phone numbers, emails. I then give them a discount code that will have them save from what they would likely have had to pay. So that's my savings code. So if you look at my listing, I also promote the fact that I'm on Google. I've had whatever the number is, 150, 5-star reviews on Google. And so people will go, oh, the guy has a Google review page. So they can find it easily there. And so there's lots you can do, frankly, that's all within the rules that can suggest, like, it's more like a billboard on a highway, right? So you've got all these travelers using Airbnb or Vrbo or Booking. And wouldn't you want to have a Henry House billboard, and as they're kind of zooming by, they kind of like, oh, maybe I can check out these guys somewhere else, right?
And you're taking a play from the bigger players handbook, the playbook. It's something by so-and-so. And you're putting that brand in every possible place that you can. If you think about how much money a company will spend to have their brand in a Netflix show for just 10 seconds, 5 seconds, it's like, that's a lot of hay to just get that name in front of people's eyeballs. And so many STR owners don't even think about having a brand, much less where they can put it so that people are interacting with it and thinking about it, because you cannot create a premium experience if you aren't proud of the thing that you're creating, right? You have to say, hey, this is Henry House. We are one of a kind, and you're going to see it all over the place because we want you to, and we want you to be a long-term, customer, guest, friend.
Yes. And I know Yada offers QR code connections as well. And I'm wanting to take that next step with you guys. My one experience with QR codes that I started about a year ago was I put a sign out in front with pictures of Henry House, the name. Otherwise, people wouldn't have any clue if they walked by the house that there was actually a short-term rental and a QR code. And I've on average during kind of seasons when there's tourists walking by, I'm getting about 5 to 7 views on my QR code per day. Oh, so wow. These are people, and they stop and they see the little sign, and it's very contained and appropriate. It's not god awful, and they'll stop and they'll look at our house, which is quite attractive, and then they look closer, then they'll pull out their camera, and it currently just goes to our website. There's probably some better things I could send it to.
Oh, we're gonna hook you up, Brett. We're gonna hook you up with that guidebook. Honestly, who doesn't want to see inside of a beautiful place as you're walking by? Like, that's everyone's. If you're just strolling along, you're like, I wonder what that's like in there. I love this idea. QR code on the sign. You heard it here, folks. Get that guidebook QR code so that you start capturing their email address. Don't just send them to the website. Don't just send them to like a promotional thing. Like, here's what it looks like. Here's what your stay could be like next time. Put your email in here, and you'll get some info.
Wow, that's why I hang out with you guys. Like, these ideas keep flowing. I've just got the one QR code in I feel guilty that I don't have a few more in my TVs aren't that complicated, but my demographic tends to be people in, you get some people in their 60s and 70s and they're confused about the TV. So I need a QR code right there so that they can watch me in a video showing them how to use the television, and it saves me a few more calls.
Well, we'll make sure to get you set up with those ASAP.
Yeah. It's on the list.
Just actually redid our templates from those, so they look a lot nicer. Like, they keep on looking nicer and nicer and cleaner. So.
Right. Yeah, I feel like I've just there's an iceberg here, and the email and texting is what got me to Yada, but there's so much more below that I just need to kind of find some time to get focused on. And the winter is kind of a quieter time, so this is the time when I can get that set up, and then come May, it's go time.
Yeah, well, we'll get you hooked up there, Brett. Honestly, it's a great partnership, right? We do things that we think are going to benefit hosts, and then we learn from you in terms of what you need, how you use them, what's really effective. So I just got to say, I really appreciate you taking the time to be here, sharing your expertise. I hope the campaign is a huge success. We're going to do our part to get the word out. You've certainly done your part to create something buzzworthy. And let's just keep this partnership going. Thanks so much for joining us.
And Steve, since you're not that far away, feel free to come by on the Nashville Takeover and share a beverage while we listen to some really cool music coming from the songwriters themselves. Maybe we can make that happen.
It's happening.
I can tell you all about the benefits of this campaign.
Absolutely, that'll be awesome. Steve, you should make it happen.
We're doing it.
Okay. You can even ride your bike in for the day.
That might be a little gross,
I think the snow will be gone by then.
Do people bike in the winter, Steve? Like, what's the deal? Like,
no. If there is a bunch of snow on the road, the people that do bike in it are in a world of hurt, because you can't keep your front wheel. You lose your line, and then you just go sideways. So it's a bad scene unless you have a fat bike. But once you have a fat bike, like, what are you even doing? Like, I'd rather ski. You get your skis out when there's snow on the ground. You get your wheels out when there's no more snow.
There we go.
Well, I'm sure you'll find some way to make the journey from Waterloo to Stratford if we can make that happen.
You have a car, right, Steve? I think that could work.
I've got a Range Rover. Just kidding. All right. Well, thanks so much, Brett. Thanks, Peter. We'll see you next
Yeah,
time.
it was a pleasure, guys.
Thanks so much, guys. What a great conversation.
All the best.